An MVP, or minimally viable product, is a common process in the modern software world. It got famous as part of the lean startup model and has grown in popularity. Traditionally, companies would spend years and hundreds of thousands, if not even millions of dollars developing a product, all in the hopes that it would sell in the end. During this time, you would fall in love with your product because that's all you worked on for that whole period of time, and it was all you could think about. Therefore, when you are looking at the design and model, you may think you've got a winner. But do you? And while there have been many winners over the course of history, there have been just as many losers and flops. We've seen this with physical products. For example, the car, the Edsel. In entertainment, you might think of the Birds of Prey movie. And in software, you might think of Duke Nukem 3D or Meta's VR app. However, with software, we can work on giving a starting point and seeing how good it really is. We do this by creating a live test in the real world with real customers. And this is actually the whole idea where an MVP comes from. To build an MVP, you have to follow the following steps. First, determine what problem you are solving and for who. By doing this, you figure out the minimal necessary features versus those that are just nice. You are only going to focus on the necessary features. Next, you're going to analyze your competitors. Are you addressing a shortcoming? Are you solving a new problem? Will this be enough to get people to switch from your competitor to you? Next, list the necessary features and prioritize them. This is the best known step. The question becomes, what is really necessary? Keep that, cut the rest. Focus only on what's important. Then you're going to build, you're going to test, you're going to learn, and then repeat. During a traditional environment, you're going to use focus groups, stakeholders, etc. And all these are important, but sometimes they come from a limited perspective. The people actually using your software will be giving you better responses than what you could normally expect. A key component of this was to learn from your product usage that your actual users are doing, and then make changes based upon what you see. Now, the nice thing about building an MVP is it should only take 1 to 2 months to build, compared to the 6 months, 12 months, or longer that you would in a traditional regular product launch. The whole purpose is to get it into the hands of your users faster. And the startup cost, therefore, will not be as much. From there, you can modify what you're doing to make it as effective as possible. Why? Well, when building an MVP, it is common to use an agile environment because it allows you to work in an iterative development cycle. Within 1 to 3 cycles, your product is ready for launch, and then you can start collecting feedback on your product. Each new cycle allows you to fix things about the initial product which didn't work correctly, add features, etc. During this time, you will work to get a refined product, and you should become profitable along the way, or quickly find out there isn't a market for it and shelve the project in lieu of one which will be successful for the company, and hopefully before you spend too much time and money on the project. A good example of this being used in software is when maybe you have a new game that you want to release, but you just release a preview. Only the first level or two is released and without all the characters that can be played. But the idea is to give a good feel as to what your players want to use in the game. They can give you feedback and let you know, do you have a winning game on your hands before you develop the game further? If so, you've got an ardent group of fans already built in that will hopefully buy the full game. This can be a little bit more difficult to do in hardware, as hardware cannot be sent out incomplete, but it's still possible within reason. Consider the original iPhone, because it's a good example. The specs for it really weren't that great. Many existing phones were already better, but they got the product out there and started testing it, especially the idea of being able to install new apps. They refined the product, leading to be one of the best and most commonly used phones on the market today. Regardless of what is being built, the idea of building, testing, and getting feedback quickly is the important part of the MVP process.